Okay, that's loading up. So great. So for anyone who's here watching, it's myself, Coach Michael, or Michael for sure. And we've got Maya here as well, Coach Maya. Just gonna make sure we're fully live. That's loading up. Great. So for Coach Michael, there we go. All right, everybody. So I'm about to go in now. I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to have hopefully a very in-depth and useful presentation today about boosting your metabolism for the purposes of transforming your body. Just realized my mic's not in, so please let me know if there's any sort of issues or you can't see anything. Put my mic in, that's hopefully be able to hear me a lot better. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, boosting your metabolism for the purposes of transforming your body. Okay. First of all, who are we? What do we do? So we're Mind Body Online Coaching. Me and Maya, and obviously our clients, our wonderful clients. So we just help people get in great shape and transform their minds and their bodies in a holistic, long and lasting and sustainable way. So that's what we do, and we help people optimize these 4 areas mainly. So that's nutrition, sleep and recovery, exercise, and having a mind and body connection. Okay, so this is obviously important, an important topic of the metabolism when we talk about transforming your body. But what does the metabolism mean? So I've got on the screen the textbook definition of it. Well, it basically means it's the collection of all the different chemical reactions that happen in your body, because everything's made of chemicals, really and truly, and our body just has thousands of millions of reactions going on at any given time. All right, so without going too specific, because it is a very detailed process, the part of metabolism that probably relates to you the most, if you're watching this, is the part of metabolism that's about producing energy, right, via glucose, or whatever needs to be there and fill in for the place of glucose, which comes from carbs when they're not present in the diet or whatnot, right? And what we try to manipulate it to be, so fat stores. Okay, so that's what the metabolism is. It's all the things happening in the body, and the main reason you're here watching this, if you are, is because you need to burn more fat. All right, your body's taking longer for you, or you feel like your body's taking longer for you to mobilize fat, to use it, to get rid of those fat stores, and you want to speed up the process. You want to get things going and feel like you're seeing more results on the scale and visibly, quicker, right? You want to get, and we're going to explain how to do that today. So the 4 key reactions, the 4 key things that happen, and parts of the metabolism that we're going to focus on today are your basal metabolic rate, all right, so your BMR, which you probably heard of, your NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and then EAT, which is exercise activity thermogenesis, and then TEF, which is the thermal effect of food. Okay, so these are like the 4 main things that are involved in your metabolism that we want to focus on if we're talking about trying to lose weight, trying to speed up the weight loss specifically. So what I'll do is I'll break down those 4 things, and then I'll explain how we can manipulate them. So we'll just go straight into how we can actually just improve your metabolism and boost it, speed up, whatever you want to call it. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis, first of all. So this is just the calories you burn doing anything. All right, doing anything that doesn't include you resting. So moving, it could be turning around, walking, just anything that's not actually exercise. Okay, so this is a key thing. If you heard about NEAT before, then we usually relate it to steps. Okay, walking more. Right, the more you move, obviously, the more calories that you're gonna burn, and the more we're gonna get out of NEAT. But how do we do this? This is more of a practical one, because we all know we've got to walk. But if we're busy, we're unable to get the 5,000 steps or the 10,000 steps, then we've got to kind of think of ways around that. A key way could be to use a Pomodoro app. So that's a technique that I often tell people to use. So you're sitting at the desk 24/7, you know, not doing anything, obviously you're sedentary, then you can obviously use this Pomodoro app, which will give you a little reminder, almost just like an alarm or timer. But will give you a reminder in different intervals. So whether it's an hour in hours or it's in 30-minute increments, whatever you want to do. And it just gives you a reminder. And then you can use those to get your little 5 minutes of walking, walk around the office, get a tea, a green tea, if possible, right, whatever, but just get up and move. So that's a reminder and a practical way you can take away straight away today to get more steps if you're thinking that you're someone who can't get a lot of steps or you can't walk, right? Another way of doing this is add a low intensity workout to get the same level of activity, because, you know, going on a 5 kilometer or 10 kilometer walk can take a lot of time, versus doing, you know, 20 minutes on the skipping rope or, you know, some HIIT exercise or something like that. Okay. Well, yeah, so a low intensity, right? And the reason I say low intensity is because that way it's more practical for you. Okay. But all of these things, your BMR, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your exercise, so that what you burn from exercise, you know, the what you burn from eating, just eating general food. The whole reason we're even looking at this is because of the energy output, right? Energy out versus in, you know, calories in versus out. This is going to be key if you're trying to lose weight. You want to burn more calories, okay? You want to burn more calories than you're taking in. So that's why, you know, if we need to increase this area, this need, you know, or what we're burning from moving, sometimes we need to borrow from exercise and actually do a bit more of that to get more steps, okay? So we'll talk about the thermal effect of food. So obviously a lot happens when you eat, you know, when you digest food, protein, carbs, and fats, your main macronutrients, all right? But there's different energy requirements for each of these different macronutrients. As you can see, if you're watching, it's about 1 to 3% of the energy goes into burning fats, about 5 to 10% into carbohydrates, and then 20 to 30% into protein. Okay, so a lot more. So if you ever hear people talk about why protein is so important, or you need to get a lot of protein in, etc., then this is the reason. This is a big reason why. Yes, it's important for muscle, but also just the energy used to break down protein is enough to kind of support with, you know, increasing your metabolic rate and the amount of just energy you use. So why wouldn't you want to use this tool, right? So you definitely want to make this a prominent part of your diet. You want to make it a key thing. Every time you eat, you want to have this. And then as a byproduct, as another benefit, you also get to add to muscle protein synthesis, which is basically, you know, your body building or maintaining muscle mass. Okay, so that's something that's more work for the body to do, because it's all work. It's all just giving the body stuff to do, right? You know, energy burn, and that's how you burn the energy, and that's how, you know, we lose weight essentially. Okay, so, you know, you want to make sure you're getting a lot of protein. You want to make sure you do it regularly, and you want to make sure it's complete proteins too, because that's going to give you the best muscle protein synthesis chance. And complete proteins are just good sources. So in terms of, you know, your fish, your chicken, your eggs, stuff like that, and, you know, stuff you want to start thinking about is if you are vegan or vegetarian, you're going to need to start mixing your protein sources to make sure you get complete protein sources, all right? Because otherwise you're not getting the same effects, all right? So if you're vegetarian, you might want to look at mixing different protein sources together. Soy is a really good protein source, a complete protein source. And then you can use things like supplements, whey protein, amino acids and stuff like that as well. But protein is a big part of speeding up this metabolism, okay, of boosting it. Now, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So this is just the standard amount of energy your body uses just for at the bare minimum. So like at rest, you know, just the minimum. So this is for things like breathing, circulation, you know, just processing nutrients, different stuff like that as well. So how do we affect or try and influence the amount of calories your body needs just to do the basic stuff? Okay, so some little key things here. but we'll go into them. So build muscle. Okay. So obviously the bigger you are, your body needs to maintain this. And this is why, on a contrast to what you may think, bigger people generally do have faster metabolisms than smaller people, right? So if you're carrying a lot of fat, so your body has to, maintain that, it has to hold on to that. And that means, it's going to have to do a lot of work. So, you actually should have a faster metabolism than someone who's actually a lot smaller than yourself. Okay. And if you still feel like you do have a slow metabolism, which is right, it's generally something, to do with the thyroid, the thyroids or something. So some deeper health issues. But what we want to do is build muscle as well as in the weight, because that means that, the increase of the muscle, your body does need to about 13 calories a day just to maintain that muscle, right? And even in the act of building the muscle, when you're doing the muscle protein synthesis that we was talking about, the resistance training, again, these are more things that you're making your body have to do, more energy that you're burning, you're using. All right, so building muscle all around is just a good, important part of the journey. So this is why when you work with someone us, like ourselves, it's definitely something we include. All right. And if you're busy, you can't get to gym, you don't even like the gym, there's a lot of different ways to build muscle. Okay. So we've got clients that start their whole journey and work with us with just a little resistance band. So it doesn't have to look exactly what you've always thought it looked like. It can be quite minimal, it can be quite high. We can do it in different ways. But staying hydrated is another one as well, because a lot of studies have shown that it does help with the whole fat oxidation process, and it just helps to raise your BMR. That's what the studies have shown. So we know that just getting enough water, whereas our body is made of mostly water, is going to allow you to allow it to function properly and all these chemical reactions to take place. So staying hydrated is really important. Whatever you're having now, if you know that you're under, they say roughly like 2 to 3 liters for women and slightly more for men. But, this is all subjective, but making sure you're just having a lot of water throughout the day as well, because you need it. Okay. And then sleeping well, it's really important. It's proven, the studies upon studies have proven that, those who have less sleep tend to have a low metabolic rate, and you'll see a big drop in your metabolic rate when you don't sleep well for night upon night. So it's really important you just keep that sleep intact, because your body gets to function properly and everything is working as it should be. Okay, I'm gonna open the floor to you, Maya, as well, because I haven't done so. So if you want to add anything to anything I've said.
Yeah, just back to the building muscle part. The interesting part about the muscle is that as you're building muscle, you're building more mitochondria, right? And so mitochondria are just like the energy center of the cell. And as you're building more mitochondria, that means that you're going to be able to break down
Hold on,
more
Maya.
energy.
Sorry, just for our LinkedIn people, if you just jump in.
Yeah.
Give it a try. If not, then it's fine. LinkedIn, I'll have to just paraphrase afterwards if you can't hear me.
Oh, yeah. So you can't hear me on LinkedIn. Darn.
That's right. Go ahead. Maybe they can hear you through my mic, and if not, I'll just paraphrase. If you're on LinkedIn and you can't hear.
So I was just saying, as you're building muscle, you're actually building more mitochondria. And more mitochondria means that you've got more energy to be able to break down food. So that means the more energy you or the more capacity that you have to break down food, then the more calories you're technically burning. So the more muscle we have, even better. So that's one of the other reasons why it's important to have more muscle, because we have more mitochondria. I think that's all I wanted to add to that part. And then for the water part, it's the same thing. So on a cellular level, we also need water, or H2O, to activate enzymes that are going to do this work for us, that because enzymes are basically the thing that do the metabolic functions in our body and increase our metabolic rate. So I think those two things that I wanted to add was more based on the fact that down at a cellular level, this is why it's so important to have muscle, to drink water. And then for the sleeping part, it's just because this is where regulation of other hormones is happening too, right? So we're regulating our stress levels by lowering our cortisol during the night, and we're going through all of that recovery stuff. So on a cellular level, that is what's happening and why it's so important to realize that your metabolic rate has so many things going on. It's not just the whole concept of I have a slow metabolism.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. So anyone that didn't hear, so Maya raised up the point of just building muscle again, of why that's so important, because it just leads to more of this, your body being able to produce energy again from having more of the mitochondria. And then the same thing with the staying hydrated as well, and then the sleeping well. So just touching on why these things are so important on a cellular level, okay? Because essentially your body's doing a lot of different things. A lot of different things are happening for it to fully function. These things are going to affect your body, your weight loss, how you feel, that your recovery, and also your mindset as well. Okay, so these are some of the basics, just the pure basics you need to be doing. And I'm just going to recap as well for anyone new or whatever. So, we want to affect your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, how much you're burning from things that aren't exercise. They need to be walking more, need to be moving around more active. And for anyone, as a practical tip, who is not active, you're on the desk or you're driving all the time, just having these reminders throughout the day. Sometimes you do need to bring yourself down to a childlike level and have these alarms set throughout the day to make you stop and actually go and move. All right, so just remember that. And then in terms of just what you burn through food, because obviously when your body's processing all these different nutrients, it uses up a lot of energy, but the most when you have protein, 20 to 30%. So why not have a lot of that? Okay, and the facts and the studies are coming in that especially if you're over 30, 40, as you get older, a lot of people start to reduce how much protein they're having, but you're really should be having like 30, 40 grams plus at a go, at a sitting, especially in the morning, right? So, it's really important that you really make protein the most prominent part of your diet. And there's loads of different ways to do this, okay? It doesn't have to just be having a steak in the morning, a big, a big crazy steak in the morning. You have like protein shake, you have some supplements, you got yogurts, pancakes. There's lots of different ways to get that in. And then we spoke about the BMR, so back to the building muscle, staying hydrated and sleeping well. And then the last effect, so we talked about BMR, how much energy you just burn at rest at a minimal level, your NEAT, so how much energy you burn from just non-exercise movement, your thermic, you're eating food, basically how much you burn from that, which is the protein, and then exercise. So obviously you can guess you need to exercise more than you're doing now, all right, because this is definitely helping with your metabolic rate. Okay, so that's a quite a simple one. So some bonuses for anyone who's got what we've said here, they've taken some gems, they understand how metabolism works. A few bonuses as well. So like I said at the beginning, the key part that we're looking at and that affects us if we're trying to improve our body shape and lose weight is the using your body being able to use fat for energy, right? So we want to try and affect that in some ways. And one way I can say is there are forms of fasting, right? Intermittent fasting, where we reduce the amount of food that our bodies get in, and the glucose stores, and then the glycogen stores. So the carbs, the food that the body already has that it's using for energy, right? It there's no more of it. So then it takes from the stores that it already does have, okay? And then when you still haven't had any more, it then needs to use something else, basically, right? This is fat. Okay, so that's why fasting can be a helpful tool as well for just using fat, this happens obviously when we're sleeping, but just having regular times when you start and stop eating, and kind of just closing that gap a little bit. So a lot of people, we have them eat from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. all right, and then outside of those hours they're giving their body time to fast. Okay. Another thing is eating regular meals, because we know that the body and the mind, they work like in a rhythmic process, all right? So your body likes rhythm, your body likes things to be regulated. So if you're eating at regular times, this is going to help as well, okay? So, you know, like we just spoke about the muscle protein synthesis and everything like that. So every 4 hours or so. But again, you know, we've got the science, which I don't like to dive in too much, so like, you know, but we've got the science, but we also got the strategy, all right? And the strategy is what we really concentrate on here, okay? So simple things like if you're now not getting your 4 to 5 meals a day, all right? And it doesn't have to be proper meals. It can be snacks included, as long as they're, you know, protein filled, high protein and whatnot. Then you might want to look at, again, using alarms for the food. I literally do it, you know, so breakfast, lunch, filler, dinner, okay? So these are things that are going to start, again, bring you to a childlike level to allow you to remember and to start implementing these habits that are not only going to help you lose the weight, but just get your body functioning really the way that it should be. Maya, I'll throw it to you as well. You got any bonuses you want to add?
No, just I wanted just to play off of that, the regular intervals, you know, because I think a lot of people out there just make it so complicated for you and try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to increasing metabolism and speeding up metabolism and this stuff. When, first of all, the concept of metabolism is just completely thrown for a loop. And people think, as you just demystified, that if you have more body fat, then you have a slow metabolism, which is not true. You need more calories to be able to sustain that body weight, basically. And, you know, just the regulation of what you said, all those things put together with the sleep and with the hormone regulation from good sleep and from the eating at specific times during the day, you know, we're regulating our body to follow this rhythm that you're talking about, to follow this pattern, so that everything will be in sync and we'll be eating within a specific amount of calories that our body needs just to sustain itself, and then be able to actually be in a calorie deficit, right? So that eating less calories or having less calories and burning more calories so that you can to increase that metabolism. Just as an aside, there are some other things that we look at when we're trying to increase metabolic rate, but the basics that Michael just shared were covered, and you don't need to go far off and dig any deeper, because that's the basic science right there, and that's the basic strategy that you need to use in order to increase metabolic rate, unless you have other circumstances like thyroid issues.
Exactly, yes. So to sum it up and to make things really, really simple again, is we like to use a method called, or acronym called, CSES, all right? That's your calories, your steps, your exercise, and your sleep, which really come to what I was speaking about just previously, okay? But this is your own, let's call it a mind, body health checkup that you can give on yourself whenever you question, is my metabolism slow? Am I not losing weight fast enough? Because I do have these conversations with people as well. And as much as, you know, everybody's different and whatnot, fat loss is a phase, and it should be treated at that. You shouldn't be trying to lose weight for years and years, you know, and depending on how much you have to lose, it can go fairly fast, all right? So if you use this checklist and you cross-examine your calories, your steps, your exercise, your sleep, make sure these are optimized to what you know to be the right levels, then you can see, you know, am I losing a pound a week or more? If I'm not, then we can look deeper. And then if there's other signs of poor health there, of course, like digestive issues, constipation, you know, getting quick to feel ill, headache, stuff like that, then you can start looking at, is there a real problem with your metabolism? Other than that, just cross-check those 4 things. And that's what we help you kind of do on our program. That's what we keep you in line with, along with just set goals, you know, and checklisted goals, so that you know that I'm losing this per week. I'm getting faster, I'm getting stronger, I'm, you know, building the body that I want, and you can see the time frames. So it's really just relieving you of all that mental pressure of thinking, do I need to do this? Am I doing it wrong? Because that can be a big deterrent, more so even than your metabolism being slow. It's usually our minds that stop us from moving as fast as we can do, right? We battle with, is this working or not? And then we think, oh, is it worth even being on a diet? Is it worth even eating within my calories and going through the trouble of it? Because I don't even know if it's working. All right. So that's kind of the worst place to be in. And that's where accountability can really, really help. Having somebody, take on your results almost as theirs, and keep you in check, keep you in line with the set goal. You achieve the goal, and that's it. Okay. For anyone still here, I'm going to just really quickly go through what our journey map is. All right. How weight loss and reaching your goals should look like. All right. And this is what we show all our clients and what we take them through. Okay. So ignore this. This is kind of, a formality when you actually join our program, in terms of just the weekly one-to-one calls to get you started and really understand everything about what you're going to be doing in depth. But for everyone, I'll just call this like an education or re-education phase. So you might have already busted some beliefs and some things that you thought in your mind today, just from what you heard on this webinar. But that's it just needs to be done. All right. Some people focusing too much on the wrong things. You might be training 7 days a week, and that's not even what your body needs. Or you might be in an extreme deficit when that's not what you need. Okay. So just re-educating yourself. Then you want to obviously lose weight. You want to, just like go through that phase. Like I said, it's a fat loss phase. Okay. And then you want to reverse out of it. You're not going to stay losing fat forever. You're going to reach that goal and then reverse yourself out of dieting. Yeah. Reverse out of it. Bring yourself back up to maintenance calories, where you're eating to sustain the weight you're at, and then be done with the dieting, basically, right? And then you want to move on to, in our what we like to position and bring people onto, is a life athlete phase. And that's when you start thinking about performance, start setting goals like climbing a mountain or running a marathon, if that's what you want to do, or getting into new sports, walking more, just go sightseeing. This is when you'll be using more calories naturally. You'll be more active. You feel better because you would have, achieved that, whatever the goal is in terms of your body transformation, and so on and so forth. Okay. So to everybody who's watched or listened, we appreciate you. We will be back next week. I don't have the topic to hand, but we'll definitely send it out to you to see. Please do jump on the Zoom and come in and join us and ask us questions. We haven't been able to monitor the YouTube too well today because of just the screens and whatnot, but we'll be on it properly and be able to ask and take questions from next week. But yeah, I'm going to end on that note. Maya, you got any ending notes or?
Nope, I'm good.